It's my fondest hope that people will go, because the best way to see it is completely, cold, without any preconceived notions.
To the best of my knowledge, Brigsby Bear is sort of the summer break project for SNL luminaries Kyle Mooney and Dave McCary.
Yes! You, Brigsby Bear, our keeper of the light!
Have you ever been with a girl?
You really want to do this with me?
Yeah, man, I mean, there's not a lot of stuff like this out there.
I read a book last summer called Live from New York, The Untold Story of Saturday Night Live by James Andrew Miller, which I would suggest everyone check out if you're interested in Saturday Night Live. It's a great oral history. The whole book is like 500 pages of interviews that goes through the entire series up till about 2004. It's really impressive. And what I understand about Saturday Night Live from that book is you get an idea of how the people work to put the show on, and it is totally grueling. It's unbelievable.
Got a little bar over here.
A little,
For when we like to have a little bit of fun over so
we actually are drunk right now.
And I know that they get a little tiny break during the summer, and I think that's just incredibly cool that Kyle Mooney and McCary were able to put this movie together in that little window of time. So it makes them feel like they're more like, the average filmmaker who's getting a film done on his off time from work. And so that was one element of Brigsby Bear that I went in really liking and thinking was awesome. And Brigsby Bear is really, really fun. But the biggest surprise to me is that it is not nearly as funny as it is heartwarming and well-made and well-paced and interesting. The movie, is a comedy, and it's really clever, and it's really enjoyable, but it's not a laugh-out-loud, roll-on-the-floor goofball fest. But thankfully, it never strays into the wannabe profound mumblecore Jeff who lives at home, Duplass brother type film. It's its own kind of unique thing. The movie relies heavily upon 1980s imagery, which is, a popular thing to do now, but it really works. And the film is about Kyle Mooney's character, who at the beginning of the movie lives in an underground compound in the desert. And we get that something is off. He establishes his world, and he lives with Mark Hamill, who plays his father, and his mother. He's their only child. He looks to be in his early 20s or, his late 20s or early 30s. And he spends his entire day going through a regimen of sort of school activities, but his number one love is watching Brigsby Bear, which is a show he's collected on over hundreds of tapes, and it concerns the adventures of a bear who's sort of a Barney-like character if Barney went on adventures a la He-Man.
Brigsby, what happened?
This happened.
Thermonuclear blast circuits, that's refabricated Sun Soldier technology. I'll fire up the tri-boosters while you input the coordinates.
Great.
So we learned that Kyle's learning valuable math skills from this Brigsby Bear show, but that also it's a continuing story in which Brigsby and assorted other characters get into adventures and try to defeat a villain. Mooney's character of James is completely obsessed with Brigsby Bear, so much so that his bizarre kind of holistic parents seem to think that he needs to break away from it as well. But we understand that something is weird and off about this bunker. Mark Hamill has told James that they are survivors from an apocalypse, but we get that something is wrong, and our fears are confirmed when one night James goes out into the desert to breathe in the night air, and he sees a whole convoy of FBI SUVs coming to collect him. They bring him back, and we find out that James was actually kidnapped as a small child by survivalist weirdo Mark Hamill and his wife and raised as their own child, but he really has a pretty normal domestic situation to return to. But he's completely out of his element. He needs to totally relearn how to become a normal citizen and how to get along with people and how to be part of the family. And he does this through movies. And the movie is really about the communal aspect of making films. It captures that magic that anybody who's made a film in the summertime experiences when you get people together to work together and put out something amazing. And even though that James is a complete fish out of water weirdo, and that's where a lot of the comedy the movie plays, especially in an episode of the film, especially in a short episode in the film in which James accompanies his sister to a party, a real high school drinking party. He gets drunk, he kisses a girl for the first time, he smokes weed, he goes totally crazy, and he gets totally weird, and that's one of the highlights of the movie. But also, James, while he's preoccupied with this totally strange, show Brigsby Bear, which he is shocked to find out was produced entirely by Mark Hamill, only for him. It was made for an audience of one. He's so obsessed with the movie and so passionate that he manages to make friends by recruiting them to make his film. Even though he's a total weirdo, he reaches out to them through his art. And I think that's a really great lesson for young filmmakers to learn. One of the biggest problems and one of the biggest hurdles in making a movie is approaching people and being able to ask for permission, and being able to ask people to get involved, and being able to get people excited about making a movie. But this movie, if it teaches you anything, it's that passion. No matter how weird you are, no matter how moved from ordinary polite society you are, if you have passion and you have a dream and you have a goal and you want to attain it, people will follow you. They'll want to be on your team and they'll want to work with you. It's a great lesson, and I had a blast watching this. The film also goes through something that I experienced as a young filmmaker, which is being stupid enough and being obsessed enough with your movie that you put other people in danger and you cause havoc. I actually did that, and in this film, Mooney does it as well. And I'm thinking that Carrie and Mooney, who also grew up in Utah together and made films in high school, have probably had this experience as well. It's something that you learn making films too, and that this movie also teaches, is that it's never worth getting anybody in trouble or hurting anybody, because that can happen making movies. I mean, it's a big production, there's a lot of moving parts, and you have to be focused on how your crew is feeling, how your cast is feeling, and you can't get too wrapped up in your vision that you put anybody in jeopardy. And so this movie has a lot to say about the real magic of making movies, and I hope it inspires some people to make films. I know that Super 8 was a movie that did that, because as film equipment gets more and more accessible, this is going to be a pastime of more and more kids, and I think that is just awesome. I love to watch short films made by people in high school. I think they're some of the most exuberant and creative and off-the-wall weird things that you'll ever see. And they're exciting because they're made with like real passion and real freedom. And it's really cool to know that Mooney and McCary grew up together making short films and sort of made the leap to Hollywood together.
Kyle and I have been making videos for a long time with another couple dudes who are in the film Brigsby Bear, Beck Bennett and Nick Rutherford.
Viking Master, gotta row the boat or the ship will sink!
Gotta
Drink, buddy!
Roll back to shore! God damn it!
Dun, 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 dun. All right, everybody on the ground, this is a robbery! Put your wallets in the bag! Don't look at me, bitch!
What an inspiring, great story, and you couldn't be happier for these guys because they made a quality movie, and I'm excited to see what else they make next.